Hi, I am Samantha, and I am so glad, Chris, that you were able to join us today to talk a little bit about transitioning from retail over to wholesale. So, I just want to take a minute to thank you for giving us some of your time and your knowledge. We really appreciate having you here with us. So, why don't you give us a little synopsis of your history and how you got into mortgages?
Sure. Yeah. Samantha, thanks for having me. The story's pretty long, but I'll try to make it shorter. I've kind of done a lot of different things in my life. Reconnected with an old buddy of mine that has been in the mortgage business for about 10 years. I was working with a life insurance company at the time. We shared an office space. He bugged me to get my license, to get my NMLS license, and I did it back in 2019. Worked with him for a few years at a retail lender. Learned a lot, worked my butt off, had a great time, and decided that it was time to come over to the dark side.
Okay, that's awesome. I love hearing that. And a lot of, you're coming into mortgages, you already had that sales outgoingness to you. So I love that you were really coming over already with a sales background. So when did you actually transition from retail to wholesale?
Probably in the middle of 2022, I started seeing, I wouldn't say a shift, but I was getting beat on a ton of deals. It was getting worse. Like I always knew the broker was better as far as price, but it wasn't an over, like it wasn't an insurmountable obstacle to like sell around that a little bit with what I was told on the retail side with the advantages that we have, which now coming to this side, I would say that there's not really much of an advantage over there. But in 2022, I realized that I was getting beat, and I had friends of mine that I literally told to go do a loan with a broker because they were buying a home. And yeah, so January 2023, I finally made the decision to do it. And yeah, it's been awesome so far. Learning a lot, made some mistakes, but we all learn from them.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing is like you're hitting your 1 year mark being in
Yes.
wholesale, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm so glad you went broker now because that is the ultimate pinnacle in here, right? Because we know one size doesn't fit all. Like,
Right.
don't try to buy your perfect home with an imperfect mortgage, right? Find
Right.
something, the solution in the mortgage that fits your financial needs. So, what ultimately made your decision to come over to wholesale?
It was a combination of price for the consumer. On our side of the business, it seems like on the broker side, you kind of run your own business versus being just a retail LO. Yes, you have flexibility and, you can do kind of what you want when you want, but you're still tied to a company. I'm tied to their options. I'm tied to what loan programs they offer. If they do broker, there's very few non-QM options. So I just didn't have the full scale of products that were offered in the mortgage industry. And on top of that, brokers have the ability to make a ton more money doing the same thing. So the question that I asked myself was, if I can do the same thing, offer a better price and make more money, I mean, what's the risk? If I didn't like it, or if it didn't work out and I left, in a way with my previous company that I didn't like try to ruffle feathers, they'd probably let me back, worst case scenario. So that's kind of what I looked at, and I took the leap.
All right. So you had said kind of like mid 2022, you started seeing that shift. So there probably was a good handful of months in there before you actually transitioned over to brokers. So did you have any hesitations initially in joining the broker channel? And if you did, how is that different, or how have you found that it actually benefits your clients transitioning over?
Yeah. Not to make a long story long, but I got into network marketing when I was like 20, and being in the retail side of mortgages and seeing the broker side reminded me of like being in network marketing for a second, because in that arena, you kind of knock down the other side to make yourself feel bigger. So you'll kind of show what that side doesn't do well to make you feel like you have an advantage of where you currently are. And that's what I see a lot of retail lenders or retail LOs do, is that you hear we lose control of the file. The broker loses control. They don't know what happens in underwriting. They can't communicate with anybody. That's what I was told the entire time at the retail space. So that was like my biggest hesitation, was I was kind of nervous to like submit a loan because it went into the abyss, it sounded like.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, so that was my big hesitation in the middle of the year. Plus, I'm a pretty loyal person. I don't want to just like leave what those people had helped me with. And, I did a lot of business, and I wouldn't say needy, but I had a ton of questions because I had so many files going. And as you know, in the mortgage business, there's a different issue on almost every loan. So I was on the phone with my branch managers at 9, 10, 11 p.m., which I don't think they were super stoked about, but I didn't care because I was doing a bunch of deals and I told them I needed help. So that was my biggest hesitation, was like not having help or not having someone to reach out to or losing control. And being on this side now, none of that's true. You kind of, as the LO, if you understand mortgages and you can do them in a retail space, you can do them on the broker side. They're still mortgages. It's not like you're doing something different. You're still doing the same thing.
I love that. And a lot of what you said is I hear like control. As a broker, we have full control of how this process looks. Like me and you are both brokers, but how we do a file might look a little bit different, but we have control ultimately of the experience that our clients
Mhm.
get, which
Right.
as being a broker, that's what I enjoy. So what is the best part for you of being a broker that you have the ability to do now that maybe you didn't before?
Well, and I feel like I can fight for my client, where at a retail lender, as much control as you say we have, or as much control as they say we have, it's actually like no control, because if that lender says no to the loan, I'm stuck. Like if they don't like something or have an overlay or whatever it might be for any type of loan, I'm handcuffed. Where in the broker side, if someone says no, that's fine. There's 150 other options that I can go reach out to, right? And just being a good loan officer or being a good broker, I think it's up to the person, right? I see a lot of scenarios that get thrown around the internet or whatever it might be, with something not working out, or, oh, this lender is terrible because they did XYZ. But most times it falls back on us as the originator, that we messed up or we didn't read the guidelines or whatever it might be. So in the broker side, it's no different. It's more control because I control everything, and I don't have a company that is like overseeing me and forcing me to show up to a meeting or go do this and that. Is I can become better however I want to become better. And there's so many options out there, and we can close faster than probably any retail lender, especially with UWM. But there's reasons for everything, right? Like
Mhm.
if it comes down to price, we might go to a certain lender, or if it's speed only, like if we have a 10-day close, we might go somewhere else. So I think we have more control if you actually break it down.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Is there a specific instance or story that you might have to share with us? Because a lot of what I'm hearing is like you take full control of your files. And now that you are a broker, you do have that ability to, if a file isn't going to work at one place, you do have the option to send it somewhere else. Similar to the beginning, like one size doesn't fit all. We know with retail, it's like you're kind of stuck in that box. And if you don't fit in that box or something doesn't work, like you said, you're kind of out of luck. So, is there a story that you could share of a success that maybe worked being a broker that wouldn't have worked being retail?
Yeah, so I got a call from a client. Her mom was looking to purchase a property using a VA loan. The mom had let me know that she went through some financial struggles a couple years back, had a BK, and hadn't really established credit. So I didn't know you could do a loan with no credit scores. So I took a loan to New Res, literally had no trade lines, nothing. There was absolutely nothing. I was super scared to do the loan because I had said yes based on what someone had told me, but I dug in the guidelines, and yeah, she had no credit. We used, what do we use? Auto insurance. We used a cell phone bill to establish like trade line history. I still didn't know if it was going to work. But yeah, the loan funded, I mean, with a super competitive rate too for a VA loan. I mean, it was maybe 0.25% higher than someone that had a credit score. Super clean, close in 21 days, no credit score. That's one scenario that was super out there. I had a bank statement loan that I took to UWM. I made a mistake. Didn't read the guidelines deep enough. Loan got declined. We flipped the loan to a different non-QM lender, and we were able to close. So having the options to take the loan where it can close, And just owning up to your responsibility. I made the mistake. UWM didn't do anything wrong. I didn't read the guidelines. I didn't know that I couldn't use the commingled assets. But yep, made a mistake, but we fixed it, still closed, and everyone was happy.
I love that. So as a broker, you were able to make home ownership a reality, even though you had to maybe switch lenders. And honestly, I don't know anywhere that's going to do a VA no credit score, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you were able to get them into a home, and that is like something to be said about brokers. So that is awesome. Chris, I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. Thank you so much for going broker now. The broker channel is a channel that is really derived from individuals in a community trying to help each other grow. So we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me, Samantha. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.